Long ago, at the foothills of quiet mountains, there stood a peaceful monastery surrounded by tall trees, flowing streams, and gentle winds. The air there always felt calm, as if the land itself was breathing slowly and deeply. The monks who lived in the monastery followed the teachings of the Buddha with care. Each day they practiced mindfulness, compassion, and patience. They moved gently, spoke softly, and listened deeply to the world around them and to their own hearts. At the center of the monastery hung a large bronze bell. It was old and heavy, shaped by many years of wind and rain. Every morning and evening, the bell was struck to call the monks to meditation. Its sound was deep and steady, echoing across the valley like a calm reminder to return to the present moment. Villagers living nearby believed the bell carried peace wherever its sound traveled. When they heard it, their worries felt lighter and their steps became slower. Among the monks lived a young novice named Ananda. He was sincere and eager to learn, but his mind was always noisy. Thoughts rushed through him like a fast river, memories of the past, worries about the future, and endless questions about whether he was doing enough. Ananda admired the senior monks. They seemed so calm, so settled, as if nothing disturbed them. He believed that if he worked harder than anyone else, he too would find peace quickly. So Ananda pushed himself. He meditated longer than others, slept less, and scolded himself whenever his mind wandered. Instead of feeling peaceful, his thoughts grew louder. The more he tried to force his mind into silence, the more restless it became. One evening, after meditation, Ananda remained alone in the great hall. The lamps were dim and the monastery was quiet. Above him hung the bronze bell, silent and still. Ananda stared at it and thought, "Everyone listens to the bell, yet no one hears the noise inside my mind." Frustration rose within him. He pulled the bell rope harder than usual. The sound rang out sharply, echoing harshly through the hall. Birds startled from the rafters, and the peaceful mood shattered. Ananda stepped back at once, his heart filled with shame. At that moment, the Buddha entered quietly and sat nearby. His presence was calm, like a steady flame untouched by the wind. "Ananda," the Buddha asked gently, "why did you strike the bell with such force?" "I wanted the sound to be clear," I replied softly, "but instead it became harsh." The Buddha nodded and said, "And your mind, do you treat it gently or do you strike it with force?" Ananda lowered his head. In that moment, he realized that he had been fighting his own thoughts, not understanding them. The Buddha continued, "This bell gives a beautiful sound not because it is struck hard, but because it is struck with awareness. Silence becomes before the sound, and silence remains after it." That night, the Buddha asked Ananda to practice listening, not to his thoughts, but to silence itself. Before sunrise, Ananda sat beneath the bell. He did not chase his thoughts away. He did not judge them. Instead, he listened. He listened to the wind moving through the trees. He listened to distant birds greeting the morning. He listened to the quiet space between sounds. Slowly, something changed. His thoughts still appeared, but they no longer shouted. They came and went, like clouds drifting across the sky. Days passed, and Ananda continued this practice. He spoke less and listened more. He stopped blaming himself and began treating his mind with kindness. One evening, as the monks gathered for meditation, the bell rope suddenly snapped. The bell did not ring. The monks looked at one another in surprise, but the Buddha simply smiled and said, "Let us sit." In the deep silence that followed, Ananda felt something he had never felt before, a peace that did not depend on sound. He understood then that the bell did not create silence, it only pointed toward it. Later, as the sun set behind the mountains, Ananda gently repaired the rope and softly struck the bell. This time, the sound was calm, pure, and clear. In that moment, Ananda understood the true teaching. A restless mind does not need force. A noisy heart does not need punishment. Like the bell, the mind must be touched with awareness. From that day on, whether the bell rang or not, Ananda carried its silence within him.